Hello, and welcome to the Rangroo's unit of the week. And today we're taking a look at the Nebelwerfer 42 300mm. In the Second World War, the Germans had a special form of artillery troops, Nebeltruppen. These are soldiers using primarily rocket-based artillery to deliver anything from smoke, Nebelwerfer roughly translates into smoke launcher, poison gas, which thankfully wasn't used on the battlefield, and also, more conventionally, high explosive weaponry. One of the more iconic of these Nebelwerfer weapons, the 41, was first used in the Battle of France. However, with the continuation of the war, there was a desire for larger and more powerful warheads. That's where the Nebelwerfer 42 30cm comes in. It entered in service around about late 42, early 43, with just under 1,000 being produced. It fired a 300mm rocket with a 67kg warhead. It only had a range of 4.5 kilometers, and it also left a rather large and obvious exhaust trail, which made it very vulnerable to counter battery. So it was highly advised for Nebeltruppen operating the Nebelwerfer 42 to relocate the weapon every time you fired. In-game, the Nebelwerfer 42 300mm is a 115-point MLRS piece, available to 16th Panzer, Panzerlehr, 25th Panzer Grenadier, 17th SS Panzer Grenadier, and 28th Jaeger divisions. It is one weapon, that being the Nebelwerfer 42 with 6 300mm rockets. It has a whopping 15 high explosive damage, high suppression and blast rate, a rather okay range of 4.5 kilometers, and as you might expect, it shoots a bit slower and has a long reload. Down to miscellaneous stats, it has 6 HP, good optics, very good stealth, and heavy cargo space. So in battle, the Nebelwerfer 42 300mm is basically just a super-sized Nebelwerfer 41. It does literally double the damage for around about almost double the price. Even though it does do double damage, it's not necessarily doubly as good. It's a bit more of a side grade than anything over the Nebelwerfer 41. And as for two main reasons, the first one being the range, is the 41 does have longer range compared to the 42. Now with weapons like this, you are incentivized to get somewhat close to the front line due to the dispersion, but it's always a nice option to be able to stay back a bit and extend your range and blow stuff up. And also closer to the front line, the more likely you are to get counter-batteried. However, with the Nebelwerfer 42 at long ranges, it's not that terrible. I mean, if rocket's just big, it's pretty hard to miss. But it also means that it's a little bit harder to use the 42 in the counter-battery role compared to the 41, which is surprisingly a pretty good counter-battery vehicle. And also, you can get 12 HP worth of rocket artillery with 2 Nebelwerfer 41s compared to 1 Nebelwerfer 42. If you lose a single Nebelwerfer 41, not too bad. You lose a 42, you're going to be crying home. The availability for the Nebelwerfer 42 is quite low. You only get 1 in B phase and 2 in C phase. I would highly recommend to take the munitions truck transport whenever possible. Otherwise, you're gonna just have to buy a supply truck to reload it already. And also, you can use the supply truck, the munitions run that is, to actually relocate the Nebelwerfer 42, because this is a unit you want to be moving every time you're shooting, because you cannot afford to lose this piece. Overall, the Nebelwerfer 42 is a fantastic piece for completely and utterly decimating any front line you want to eventually become your rear line. Whether it's towns, forests, tank platoons, Nebelwerfer 42 doesn't care. It will blow them up indiscriminately just the same. It's pretty much like an off-map artillery piece, but you have it available on the map. You just have to keep it supplied and not counter-batteried. It's also a pretty good unit to bring out in B phase, because, well, that's the first phase you can bring it out, but if you're playing the Maverick deck, it's going to be a very useful tool in that phase to completely, shred up the enemy front line and then push on through. And that's also when you actually have the income available to effectively buy it, because it is a pretty expensive artillery piece. But in good hands, it can prove to be quite a deadly piece of equipment, and I've definitely seen this win a few games. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. This has been another Rang Rouge unit of the week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And usual, please just take it easy.